Have you ever wondered how a city can go from being full of life, families, and work to a place where fear and violence take over? How does a city where children once played safely become a testing ground for dangerous criminal power? This is the story of Ciudad Juárez, a city in northern Mexico, right on the border with the United States. For decades, Juárez was known for its factories, hardworking families, and as a bridge between two countries. But in the early 2000s, something changed. It became one of the most violent cities in the world, a place where cartels fought for control, tried new ways to expand power, and tested the limits of law and order. Do you want to understand how cartels turned a normal city into a battlefield? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Narco Files for more real stories about crime, history, and the human lives behind the headlines. What made Juárez important? Juárez's story is shaped by work, industry, and its location on the border. For decades, the city was known for maquiladoras, factories that made clothes, electronics, car parts, and other goods for shipment to the United States. These factories gave thousands of families a steady income and made Juárez an important economic hub in northern Mexico. But being so close to the U.S. also came with risks. Just across the Rio Grande lies El Paso, Texas, a large American city. Criminal groups quickly realized that controlling Juárez meant controlling a gateway to the United States. Smuggling drugs, money, and weapons became easier the closer traffickers could get to the border. While families moved to Juárez for work and opportunity, cartels saw it as a prize worth fighting for. This mix of industry, population, and geography turned the city into a battleground, a place where the pursuit of profit would forever change life for the people who called it home. The early years, life in Juárez before the height of the cartel wars was challenging, but it was familiar and ordinary. People went to work in factories, traded goods, and crossed the border to visit family or go shopping in El Paso, Texas. Families lived their daily lives, and the city had a sense of community despite its struggles. The problems were real: poverty, uneven economic growth, and few opportunities for young people made life hard. Some young men and women turned to crime, not because they wanted to, but because it often seemed like the only way to survive. In the 1990s and early 2000s, as drug trafficking expanded across Mexico, small street gangs appeared in Juárez. At first, they were local and disconnected, mostly trying to control neighborhoods or small markets. But over time, these gangs became linked to larger criminal organizations like the Juárez Cartel, the Sinaloa Cartel, and La Nea, setting the stage for the violence that would soon transform the city. Why cartels targeted Juárez? To understand why cartels fought so hard for Juárez, imagine trying to move a highly profitable but illegal product into the United States. The closer you are to the border, the easier it becomes. Juárez offered direct access through highways, railways, and local connections, making it a perfect gateway for traffickers. But it wasn't just geography. Juárez had a large population, over 1.3 million people, and many neighborhoods where law enforcement was too weak to control organized crime effectively. Cartels could hide, recruit, and operate with less risk of interference. This combination of strategic location and urban space made Juárez ideal for criminal groups. It became a testing ground where cartels experimented with ways to fight rivals, expand influence, and control territory. Every strategy, from violence to recruitment, was sharpened here before being applied elsewhere, leaving a lasting impact on the city and its people. How Juárez became one of the world's most violent cities. Between 2008 and 2012, Juárez became known worldwide for extreme violence. Thousands of people died in drug-related killings during these years. In 2008 alone, around 1,100 people lost their lives due to organized crime. By 2010, estimates suggest over 3,000 people were killed in the city in just 1 year. This level of violence affected daily life for everyone. Parents were afraid to let children play outside. Shops closed early or completely shut down. Streets that had once been lively became empty and quiet. People lived in constant fear, unsure who would be next. So why did this happen? The main cause was rival cartel wars. Competing criminal groups, including the Juárez Cartel and the Sinaloa Cartel, fought brutally for control of territory and drug routes into the United States. Their battles turned Juárez into a testing ground for violent strategies, leaving the city and its people trapped in a cycle of fear and loss. Rival cartels fighting for control. For years, the Juárez Cartel controlled key drug routes through the city. But in the 2000s, the Sinaloa Cartel, a powerful rival, wanted those same routes. Once allies, these groups became deadly enemies as competition over profits and territory grew. The conflict spread everywhere. Gun battles erupted on the streets. Neighborhoods faced constant threats and intimidation. Everyday life became dangerous as people tried to avoid violence. Local gangs and hired fighters made the battles even more unpredictable. Civilians were often caught in the middle. Cartels also experimented with strategies to weaken their rivals. They spread fear through communities, pressured police officers, and manipulated neighborhoods to gain control. This turned Juárez into a kind of laboratory for cartel tactics, a place where criminal organizations tested new ways to dominate territory, recruit members, and control people. Families and streets became part of this deadly experiment, leaving a lasting mark on the city. Extortion, kidnapping, and community impact. Violence in Juárez went beyond murders. Once cartels gained influence, other crimes grew too. Extortion became common, with business owners forced to pay just to stay safe. Kidnapping targeted families, who sometimes had to pay ransoms to save loved ones. Corruption spread as police officers were bribed, threatened, or pressured to cooperate with criminals. Cartels wanted more than drug profits. They wanted control over everyday life. For many families, the line between criminals and law enforcement blurred. Fear was constant, and trust in the police was weak. In Juárez, living safely became a daily challenge, and normal life was shaped by the constant presence of cartel power. Large-scale incidents. The violence in Juárez during this period was shocking and reached every part of society. In September 2009, gunmen attacked a drug rehabilitation center, killing 18 people. This showed that cartels could strike even in places meant for healing and support. On January 31, 2010, the Villas de Salvárcar massacre left 16 young students dead during a birthday party. This brutal attack caused national outrage and pushed the government to increase efforts to fight cartel violence. Even prisons were affected. In March 2009, a prison riot in Juárez killed at least 20 people, largely due to rival gang conflicts. These events shocked the city and the world. Violence was no longer limited to cartel members. It reached families, students, and everyday citizens. Juárez became a place where fear touched everyone's life, and normal routines were constantly threatened by the presence of organized crime. The government's response. As violence in Juárez reached record levels, the Mexican government sent military forces, federal police, and special units into the city. Their goal was to reduce killings, support local police, and restore order. From 2008 onward, thousands of troops patrolled streets, highways, and neighborhoods. This was part of a larger national plan to fight organized crime. In some areas, concentrated efforts did help reduce murders and improve safety. However, the military presence did not solve everything. Some citizens felt safer, but others found daily life tense and stressful. For many families, living under constant checkpoints, patrols, and armed forces became part of normal life, showing how deeply cartel violence had changed the city. The human side. Living in Juárez during the height of cartel wars was extremely difficult. Families constantly feared for their children going to school, and friends avoided meeting outside. Workers planned their days carefully, always thinking about safety. Some families left the city entirely to find peace, while others stayed, determined to protect their homes and community. Daily life was shaped by a mix of fear and hope. Hope that the violence would end and life could return to some sense of normalcy. Social roots. The violence in Juárez did not appear suddenly. Years of poverty, inequality, and weak institutions allowed cartels to gain power. Young people with few opportunities were often recruited, and underpaid, undertrained police could be influenced or intimidated. While this does not justify the crimes, it helps explain how cartels flourished. Communities without strong social support became vulnerable to criminal control. A city of resilience. After the worst years of violence, Juárez slowly began to recover. By the mid-2010s, murder rates dropped significantly from their peak. Law enforcement efforts, along with community programs, helped reduce crime in many neighborhoods. Today, parts of the city are safer and more stable. Businesses have reopened, families live with greater peace, and local groups work daily to improve their communities. Progress has been slow, and challenges remain, but Juárez shows that even after extreme violence, recovery and hope are possible. What we can learn from Juárez. What can we learn from Juárez? Geography and economics shape life, but they don't decide a city's future. When legal opportunities are scarce, criminal power can grow. Extreme violence leaves deep scars, but recovery is possible through strong communities and resilience. Juárez was once a testing ground for cartel tactics, a place of fear and control. Yet families fought back, neighborhoods rebuilt, and progress slowly returned, showing that hope can survive even the darkest times. Have you ever wondered if a city scarred by violence can truly recover? Can families and communities rebuild after years of fear and loss? The story of Ciudad Juárez shows us that even in places once defined by cartel wars and bloodshed, hope and resilience can survive. People here have faced some of the darkest times imaginable. They have lived under constant danger. Yet they have also shown courage, strength, and a desire to rebuild their city. Today, Juárez is still healing, still working, still raising families, proving that life can return even after the worst of conflicts. If this story moved you, and you want to learn more about real events, real people, and real struggles, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the Narco Files, and tap the bell icon so you never miss our future stories. Thank you for watching, and remember, behind every headline, there is a human story worth understanding.